The mandate is for Modi's BJP. Mamata Banerjee, the chief minister, refuses to resign. She says, I will not go to the Raj Bhavan and put in my papers because 100 seats were stolen. I spoke to Mr. M.J. Akbar on the Bengal mandate and the message. Mr. M.J. Akbar is joining us. He needs no introduction, former union minister, celebrated journalist. Mr. Akbar, thank you for speaking to Times Now. The BJP is set to form government in Bengal. The swearing in is on Saturday. You had written a piece on April 17th. It says a storm is coming in Bengal.
Yes, indeed. I saw the storm. I traveled for a few days. I traveled not inside Calcutta, but outside Calcutta in the districts. I traveled east of the Hooghly, which is quite different demographically from the west of the Hooghly. And it was very evident. It was very evident. All you had to do was speak to the voter rather than talk to one another. And, if you really want to get to the truth of any elections, two things are very important. One, you must know the language. I really don't go to any state whose language I do not know, at least at election time. And the second is that you have to talk to the voter. And there was a very common chant of change. Onek holo in Bengali, onek holo.
Mr. Akbar, what do you think changed the tide? What's behind this storm?
Yeah, the separation between an elected government and the electorate is not all that different from a normal separation. First, there is a discontent or dispute, which turns into discontent. Then this discontent over time builds into dismay until you hit the critical moment when it becomes so bitter that there is a break. Then there is no reconciliation possible. And I think this break came. People may or may not agree with me. This break came when Mamata Banerjee's education minister.
Viewers, we have some breaking input coming in this minute, and this is really a churn of a kind we've not seen in Indian politics for a long time. After the Congress dumped the DMK and decided to go with Vijay's TVK, we are now being told that DMK is in talks with the AIADMK. Talks are on. A top DMK source has informed Times Now. And they are talking about power sharing formula, where each party gets 2.5 years in government. Dharani is joining us for more on this. Dharani, everything is on the table in Tamil Nadu. Nothing out of bounds.
Well, definitely through top sources from both the parties, we are given to understand that the AIADMK and the DMK, they've been in touch and they've been discussing a split rule formula that 2.5 years of DMK government and 2.5 years of AIADMK government. This possibility was discussed, but however, both the parties, they have not arrived at any decision yet, is what sources tell us. Right now, the DMK alliance has 68 MLAs and AIADMK has 53, and altogether they'll be able to cross the majority mark very easily. And the sources from both the parties, they are able to confirm us this. In fact, the talks have been going on for the last 48 hours is what one particular source told us. And it was through second level leaders, not through the high command itself, but through second level leaders. And but however, even after all the discussions, both the parties, they are yet to arrive at a decision. But the formula that was discussed by both the parties was to have a split rule. One half will be ruled by one party and the other half will be ruled by the
next party. Okay, just stay with us. Let me bring in Zaka Jacob, a managing editor, on this big news breaking first on Times Now. Zaka, I didn't expect this. This is really a pot boiler.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like a film plot. These two parties, we're given to understand that the top leadership of the DMK and the AIADMK have been in touch with each other for the last 48 hours. There are discussions on some kind of possible permutation and combination whereby these two sworn bitter political rivals for the last 50 years will try to come together in some kind of arrangement. They haven't quite figured out what that arrangement will be, whether it will be a coalition, whether it will be outside support, whether it will be rotational share of power like we are seeing, for example, in Karnataka or in other states. If this happens, this is a political earthquake. It would be even bigger than the mandate that we saw that the people of Tamil Nadu gave Vijay with 108 seats. He's fallen short by 10 seats. But I think, Pranesh, I think we need to be very cautious about this because there's so much bad blood between these two parties. There's so much bad history between these two parties. Let's not forget, Mr. Karunanidhi and Ms. Jayalalitha threw each other in jail. Such was the deep level of personal animosity between those two individuals, those two protagonists. Of course, that level of animosity has come down now in this current generation of the leadership, whether it's Mrs. Stalin in the DMK or whether it's Mr. EPS in the AIADMK. They still are very bitter political rivals, but the fact that a completely new political upstart, somebody who had no political experience, came absolutely out from the wild and then upsetted the entire Dravidian political machinery of both of these two parties, I think that has sort of given them some kind of common cause
Zaka,
to come
wouldn't
together.
you call this a new political template? You have the Congress dumping the DMK, a pre-poll partner, to join the the TVK, and now here there are reports that DMK and AIADMK could come together. Let's talk numbers. DMK has 59, AIADMK 47, that is 106. The majority mark 118.
No, but they also will have to bring in their smaller allies. For example, the DMK will have to bring in the IUML, the CPI, CPM, the VCK. All of that add together, I think it's about 8 or 10 seats. Similarly, on the AIADMK side, the PMK has 4. The DMDK on the DMK side has 1. So all of that put together, the smaller allies, then it would add up to 120. But I think more than that, Pranesh, it would also be, making a mockery of the mandate that the people of the state have given. Clearly, the mandate was for Vijay. Yes, he fell short by about 10 seats, but that doesn't mean you overturn, not just the mandate, they are basically overturning 50 years of political history of the state of Tamil Nadu. Yes, stranger things have happened in politics. I mean, the national sort of equivalent of this would be if the BJP and the Congress were to come together and form a government. I don't think that will ever happen, but you never know in politics. But in the state, this is exactly what is happening. If this is indeed true, that DMK and ADMK are coming together to keep Vijay out, then it basically means that they are appending 50 years of political history. And I think there will be a political price to pay for it. I mean, the calculation, of course, from the DMK side is if the Congress can dump them after 20 years of the UPA and after 5 or 6 years of the India Alliance, then why should they hold on to any kind of morals or principles?
Imran is also with us, so is Kritika. Imran, what do you make of what Dharani has picked up, reports of AIADMK and DMK coming together?
Well, absolutely, Pranesh. Now we also seen examples of it in Karnataka too, where JDS and Congress came together for 2.5 years, the formula of it. But we also seen that now, the whole parties, whether Tamil Nadu, whether it's a DMK, ADMK, what seems to be then to stay relevant and stay in power. What we get picking up sources from DMK is that for the past 48 hours, the talks have been happening between both DMK and ADMK over this particular issue. In fact, a top DMK source is also informed that they've also informed governor about it, the feelers that they have the numbers together to come together and form the government. In fact, they're waiting for us right now for the internal power struggle which is happening in ADMK to resolve, and then they both together to go to the governor saying that they have the mandate and they will have come together to form the government there. So to upset an upstart party like Vijay, both the traditional rivals, and I mean it is legendary, can't even anybody think about it, that they can come together and keep the difference aside for the sake of power in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, Kritika, you've been tracking the developments outside the TVK office. Have you been able to speak to anyone from the TVK? How are they reacting to this?
Well, Pranesh, that is the thing. As far as TVK and the Congress is right now concerned, they are insisting on how Vijay is the single leader who has the demonstrative capability of, in fact, demonstrating to the governor of being able to form the most stable government, as he has received a mandate of 108 seats. This is what is coming in from both the Congress as well as the TVK camp as far as, talks of forming a government is concerned. Currently also what we are picking up is that the legal team of the TVK is also submitting documents from the end of the Congress. Remember, as per the constitutional provisions, this is what is supposed to happen when a party misses, when a single party does not attain a simple majority. That is when the alliance partners, the post-poll alliance partners, have to also submit their letters of intent to support the leader. And right now, Arjun is also, in fact, meeting with the governor, with the legal team as well, submitting those very documents. We are also seeing politics also brewing up over this. Now, Congress, of course, is once again alleging that this is the hand of the BJP is involved directly in tandem with the governor, in fact, to stall the swearing-in ceremony of Vijay, of which the invitation to Congress President Kharge as well as leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha to Rahul Gandhi has also been sent out. So, of course, politics is brewing up from the end of the Congress. However, despite their support, remember, the TVK is still falling short of numbers. Yes, a big public mandate is in the favor of TVK. We spoke to a lot of party workers as well who've been reiterating that this is only a sign of frustration that has come in after about 50 years of rule of the Dravidian party, that it is a dream. They have gone on to say that Vijay will be the forever CM as well. This is the sentiment that we were picking up at the TVK office, but definitely the revelations that are coming now of, staunch enemies as far as politics is concerned for the AIADMK and DMK to be holding talks. Remember, ironically, it was the Congress that has first come out after the mandate that has been delivered for Vijay, stating that there are no permanent enemies and no permanent friends in politics. And now we are seeing, in fact, the top sources are confirming times now that there are conversations that are underway between AIADMK and DMK. So it remains to be seen what TVK makes of this. The smaller parties also, remember, we've already had a word with the IUML, which released a statement stating that they will stand with the DMK. Their alliance with the DMK is not
Zaka, we were
electoral,
talking
but
of morality. Morality apart, if this indeed happens, if the deal or the talks go through, and if they have the numbers, nothing stops them from forming the government.
Also, it's a question of, the governor needs to be convinced. Remember, the reason why Vijay is not being asked to be sworn in tomorrow is because the governor is not convinced that he has 118. Now, again, it is a matter of legality. It's a matter of, back and forth as to whether the governor can ask him to show all 118 letters of support and only then ask him to be invited to be sworn in. The general convention has been that majority has to be proven on the floor of the assembly, not the floor of the Lok Bhavan or the Raj Bhavan. Now the question here is, who can convince the governor? If tomorrow the DMK offers, let's say, outside support to the AIADMK and EPS becomes chief minister and all the allies of both of these formations decide to give in letters of support, then will the governor invite EPS or Stalin, as the case may be, as to whoever has been chosen by that new combination to become the chief minister? So at that time, will the governor not be accused of not inviting the single largest party, as has always been the convention? The governor invites the single largest party. In this case, the TVK is the single largest party. So lots of questions of constitutional legality are there. But I think the fundamental point is this, Pranesh. I think if this indeed happens, I mean, I can't believe my ears. I grew up in this state. I've seen just how much bad blood there is between, the DMK and the AIADMK.
But, before we end, let me put you in a spot. You're saying you can't believe your ears, obviously, because, no one expected that this would happen. But what would the narrative be? Like the Congress is saying that we are going with TVK to keep BJP out, to keep communal forces out. We might, hear from the DMK and AIADMK that this is the Dravidian unity to keep outsiders out.
Possible. Yeah, it could well be possible. Remember, before 1972, before MGR split, there was only one Dravidian party, which was the DMK. And both of their, founding ideal was Aringaranna, who was the first non-Congress chief minister of the state of Tamil Nadu. So it's basically a reunification. a sort of a ghar wapsi, if I can use that phrase. But like I said, it would be unbelievable, almost unimaginable, but stranger things have happened in politics.
Bharani, when can we expect an update on this? What's next?
Well, one more thing that is interesting to note is that one faction of ADMK MLAs since last night, they've been wanting to go with Vijay's Tamalaga Vetri Kalagam, and they had a meeting with ADMK General Secretary Edapadi Palaniswamy just a short while back. And during this meeting, we are given to understand that EPS has convinced them not to go with TVK. So in case, EPS might have, informed them about the possibility of a potential alliance with Dravida Munnetra Kalagam, and that might have stopped them from, asking to support to TVK. But in the next couple of days we'll get a clear picture, because the talks are still in the surface level and it is not happening straight in between the high commands. It is happening between the second level leaders, and even between the second level leaders the talks are still in the surface level is what we can gauge from the ground. So in the next 36 to 48 hours we'll get a clear picture on this.
Big news, viewers. Let me quickly recap this for everyone who's joining the broadcast. The DMK and AIADMK are in talks. If they indeed come together, it'll be a new brand of politics. We were talking about the going away of the duopoly. But if it happens, then the narrative could well be that to keep external forces out, the Dravidian parties have united. The last word yet to be spoken. Navita Kumar joins you on the News Hour next.